This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first, call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee with your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 an order. Additional terms apply.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a music podcast where we chat to a new guest each week, talk about their life and creative endeavours, and talk to them about some of the music they love. Our show works by chatting to our guests about music, their songwriting techniques, and occasionally getting them to make you a playlist of the songs they love. Welcome to episode 197. I'm your host, Simon Fink. Our guest today is Easy Life. The indie 5-piece from the UK are today releasing their brilliant sophomore record, entitled Maybe in Another Life. In today's episode, we're speaking with frontman Murray Matravers about how the recording process differs from the first record, collaborating over Zoom, and we discuss the Kevin Abstract and Glastonbury mishap. Here we go. Our guest today is the frontman and songwriter for one of the most exciting indie and alternative bands to come out of the UK in the last few years. Seamlessly blending genres together and adding their own futuristic production touches to their music, they're set to continue to win fans across the globe. Today, they're releasing their second studio record, Maybe in Another Life. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Murray Matravers from Easy Life. Welcome, sir. How are we?
Hello. Yeah, very well. Hello, Simon. Thanks for having me, man. Pleasure to be here.
My absolute pleasure to have you. As we just discussed a little bit before we started recording, you are currently in the country at the moment, which is very exciting. And I know that you're not kind of see all the wildlife that you'd like to see, but it is an exciting time regardless. There is a brand new Easy Life record coming out this week in Maybe Another Life. Firstly, congratulations, mate, because this is a beautiful, beautiful record.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, we're so proud of it. I feel so excited to share it. You know, we've had it finished for like 6 months now and just like so eager to put it out in the world. We had to delay it for various reasons, but it's coming and we're so gassed. I mean, it's going to be amazing, man.
Of course. Well, it is the second studio record from the band, but I feel like the old cliche of the difficult second record maybe doesn't apply to yourselves. I know you've been prolific with mixtapes and other releases before this, so it's not like new ground that you're covering. I guess was there much pressure this time round in following up the previous record?
No, do you know what? Like, obviously, I'd heard from various people like the difficult second album. But I made this record in secret. Like, no one was asking me to make a record. We did it so quickly. I made it in like less than a year. And obviously this is like straight after the release of Life's a Beach, our first album. So there was no pressure. And I think for various reasons, I needed to just do this one for me. I really tried to just imagine that no one was listening. And I think that's been a difficult thing to grasp. You know, we started Easy Life kind of young and based around just no one's ever going to hear any of this music, you know, because that was just the energy and we didn't care. And then all of a sudden we're famous fucking musicians. It's like, oh no, like maybe we like need to do things a certain way or whatever. And those thoughts, like, I feel like they do stifle your creativity. And I noticed this, you know, I've matured and I've understood the process. So when it came to making the second album, I felt free. I was like, I'm just going to do this for me. I shut myself away in the studio. I took a couple trips to LA and I just had the best time making it. It was really, really fun. There's so much genuine enjoyment inside the album, which I've hopefully managed to capture with the recordings, and I'm just so proud of it. I think the cliche of the difficult second album is going to apply for me on the third album, because I'm like fresh out of ideas, and like I've obviously pulled the wool over people's eyes and sneakily made this album, and that worked great this time. But I don't think they're going to I don't think I'm going to get away with it again. So maybe there'll be more pressure on the third album, but I don't know. I also feel like I've just the pressure's okay now. I think for a while it might have bothered me, but I'm a lot more at ease with where we are now as a band.
That's awesome to hear. I'm very curious. I think it was parts of the first record. A lot of it was recorded at home. I think there was even some of the brass elements of the record recorded in like the living room or downstairs of someone's flat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had to record the brass in my flat, which was like the 6th floor of this high rise in South London. And I literally had to knock on all the neighbors. It was lockdown, so everyone's working from home, and Sam's turning up to my house with a baritone sax, which is loud. And I'm knocking on, I'm like, just so you know, I'm going to make loads of noise for like 4 hours. And then I'll stop, I promise. And I've like given them a bottle of wine and, made it all okay. But this second album, we actually recorded the brass in a studio, which was much better. I didn't have to, buy loads of wine, which was nice. But yeah, the first album was all made pretty much, inside of, in the box, in the laptop and like in my bedroom. I'm super blessed. The best thing that's ever happened for me in Easy Life is I've actually recently acquired my own space, my own studio outside of my house, which is so amazing because I live with my girlfriend, and like when I used to have to make music, I used to always just do it on headphones because I'm just so embarrassed for having people listening in on the creative process. So when I got the studio, I was just so gassed to actually be able to leave the house and then be in a new environment, and I think it inspired a lot of creativity. So I'm super blessed. Like I've always done it in my bedroom, which has been amazing. I've loved that. But the idea of being a bedroom producer, I still feel like that. But it's I was gassed to get my own space. It's the best thing that I've achieved so far.
That's awesome to hear. I was going to touch on, like, I guess, did you find with having your own space this second time round that you were a little bit more free in the ideas that you were able to have, or that you were able to, because there's no restraints, there's no neighbors to worry about, you can kind of try multiple different avenues on one different idea or something like that?
For sure. And it was the first time I ever had a pair of monitors. Like I've always just done everything on headphones. For like the first couple mixtapes were like just literally Apple earphones. So it was nice to hear more things in the productions. That helped. But yeah, honestly, having that space, and I'd just moved house, and throughout lockdown, I was moving a lot of like shit went down with obviously people getting ill, and like I couldn't live with my parents because they were like quite vulnerable, and then I ended up living in a hotel for a while, and then I was moving house, and I moved out of London, and all that period, and then the stuff like happening with the band, we weren't touring, it was like all really chaotic. And I think I'd arrived when I started writing this album, I'd just kind of finally landed back in London, and I'd just got this space, and I think I just sort of just took a breather, and it felt really good, and I felt really inspired. I wanted to write. I felt like I had a lot to talk about. So much had happened in a relatively short amount of time, and I don't think I'd really dealt with any of it in terms of my personal life, and I hadn't really given myself the time to A, appreciate like how far we've come, but B, also like question some of the decisions we've made. And I think I did that throughout the process of writing this album. And I wouldn't have done that had I just been sat at home, because I think the home is quite a safe environment to just feel like everything's good. At home, I'm just having a cup of tea and loving it. Whereas in the studio, I might be asking more searching questions like, how do you feel about your relationships? How do you feel about the band? How, those more searching introvert type things. The environment of the studio helps me reach that space. So yeah, I love it. In fact, I shouted out the studio quite a lot and throughout the album in subtle ways that I only make sense to me. But yeah, the space was super important for me.
That's awesome to hear. I'm glad that there is something that you can kind of utilize to just be able to run free with those ideas and be able to create the music that you do create. I know that Easy Life kind of has resonated with a lot of fans. You do seem to have a lot of fans here in Australia as well, which is fantastic. One thing that I love about the band and loved about this new record is it kind of continues I feel like it's almost stream of consciousness lyrics where it's not kind of one set theme. I love that there's still a little bit of tongue in cheek or witty observations, if you will. One of my favourite lines is from the collaboration with BENEE, where I want to make sure I get the line right. I wrote it down. I don't understand you because you've got a face like a slapped fish. Yeah. For yourself, when you are approaching lyric writing, how do you find that kind of perfect balance between having witty banter within songs, but also not ending up with a like a comedy song or like a song that still has substance, if you will?
Sure. I mean, to start with, thank you. That's super kind. Because I'm never sure if I've overstepped the mark or if it's too stupid or if it's even too deep sometimes as well. Lyric writing is always inherently like really exposing. And I genuinely feel I'm constantly trying to get better at writing lyrics. And yeah, hearing you say, "Oh, I think you've done a good job," like that genuinely, that helps because I never know, man. Like I'm just writing as honestly and as authentically as possible. And like, it's very conversational, our lyrics. They always have been. I just feel like I'm talking A to myself or B, like perhaps a subject matter or a particular person that I'm addressing the song to, or maybe even just the audience. But I always feel like I'm just talking to someone. And the way that I talk in England and stuff sometimes happens to be like a little bit funny or whatever. Try and like crack a joke here and there, make some friends perhaps, who knows. So I guess that just comes across in the lyrics. But I just write what I feel and what I see. I've always felt that if something happens to me or if I've noticed something, then everyone else, that's happened to everyone else as well, and they've seen the same shit. Perhaps we're just not talking about it. And then I talk about it, and that's perhaps why it becomes funny, because it's like, yeah, so true. Like I understand what you're saying, and I don't know. Yeah, it's not necessarily intentional, and I don't know. Lyric writing is always. I think I understand the process of writing music a lot more. I feel like it's not formulaic, but there's certainly building blocks. But with lyrics, it can just come from anywhere. Sometimes I can't write lyrics. In fact, loads of the time, I have so many instrumentals, which I really love. And pretty much unless I come up with the lyric simultaneously or pretty soon after, then those instrumentals just never see the light of day because...
Okay, you can do this.
I know. Carvana makes it so convenient to sell your car. It's just hard to let go. My car and I have been through so much together.
But look, you already have a great offer from Carvana. That was fast.
Well, I know my license plate and VIN by heart, and those questions were easy.
You're almost there. Now to just accept the offer and schedule a pickup or drop-off.
How'd you do it? How are you so strong in letting go of your car?
Well, I already made up my mind, and Carvana's so easy.
Yeah, true. And sold.
Go to Carvana.com to sell your car the convenient way.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be. They
didn't inspire a lyric almost,
Yeah.
some like black magic shit. I don't know how it all works really.
Look, that's very fair. I appreciate the honesty in your answer. On this new record, I think, having listened to it a few times, I think my favorite track was Bubble Wrap. Beautiful kind of chord structure, beautiful cadences. Would you be able to, if you're willing to, kind of give us a peek, I guess, behind the curtains of this song and just what inspired it or what brought this song on?
Yeah, so I've alluded to it before. I was moving house a lot when I started writing this record, and I'd actually all my stuff was in bubble wrapped up in boxes, and I was really frustrated and I had nowhere to work, which was stressing me out. I had my laptop, but I was moving house, and I was just living in a hotel for a while, and I felt really like kind of just lost in general, like geographically a little bit lost, but in my headspace was all just a bit hectic, and I wasn't really making good decisions or holding it down and blah, 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 blah. But everything was wrapped up in bubble wrap. And I was like, that to me was that I had the title, and I was like, that's right, I'm going to talk about this. And I ended up, I went to the studio. I wasn't living in London, but I had my studio, and it was like pretty much completely empty. But I went there, I was like, you know what? I need some time to just chill, because like music's often like my therapy kind of thing. And then like it can calm me down, or it can certainly explain a situation to myself. So I was going through all this shit, and I was like, right, so I drove to the studio and like booked a hotel down the road, and ended up just getting completely like smashed by myself in the studio, and just like had an SM58, and I just like became this weird kind of character, and all the chords are like really, I was really drunk when I wrote that. That was like the drunkest I've ever written a song. Chord wise, just like stole those chords from classic like Bee Gees songs. Like you'll notice the cadences, like you said, they're everywhere in the 70s. Everyone's used those chords. They're just like classic, like Beatles-esque, like just the classic songwriting building blocks. But I wanted it to feel like a nostalgic song, you know. And the sample, all the strings, they're just sampled. I went on YouTube and was like, pretty string song, and then I don't know how I did it, because I don't even know where I got it from, but tell no one, because we're supposed to like submit all this. So
of course,
but I'd like ripped it on like YouTube and then cut it together. And I remember when we come to record the brass on there's some brass in that song, but it's really low in the mix. But when we came to record it, they were all like really great musicians. They were like, oh, the strings on this are so good. Like the way you recorded it is amazing. And I'm there like, oops, like, yeah, thank you guys. Cheers. Yeah. You know, but yeah, I wrote that one in a blur. But I'm so glad you picked that up. It means a lot to me. I felt that song really, there's a lot of sadness in that song. And I think when I wrote that song, I left a lot of the sadness in the room, and I felt much better after that. And it contains this voicemail, that Sam, the bass player in the band and the saxophone, he left me this voicemail after we'd like fucked up at this gig, and like for various reasons, I won't get into it, but it was like going through a little bit of a sticky situation, and he just left me this voicemail, and it really encapsulated the whole essence of the album, like this maybe in another life, like what could have been, and you know, it's going to be okay, but perhaps you should have done something different, or maybe not. Maybe the decisions you made are good ones, like only time will tell. But his voicemail, I wanted to just put it in there as like it really grounds the song, it anchors it in like the reality. And yeah, I really love that song. So thanks for mentioning that one.
No, of course. As I mentioned, it is the song that kind of stood out to me the most. Oh. But the whole album is fantastic. You do seem to manage a beautiful kind of mix of nostalgia, pushing things forward, being future kind of leaning as well. There are some kind of emotions that are happy and sad. You've kind of done a beautiful what do they call it? Like balancing plates, like when you've got many plates spinning.
Sure.
You've done that very, very well.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I wanted to quickly touch on some of the guests that you had on there. We've got Kevin Abstract, we've got BENEE. How did these kind of collaborations come about, and what was it about, I guess, these two? Gus Dapperton as well, don't want to forget him, but what was it about these collaborators that kind of stood out to you as, yes, I'd love to work with them?
Yeah, I mean, Gus Dapperton, he's just my homie. We've known him for ages. When he came and toured the UK, that was actually the first tour Easy Life ever went on. We went on tour with Gus and we supported him, and we've been friends ever since. So that one was super collaborative. I know I just keep going on about how I was moving house a load of times, but this particular time I was in like this like barn with like no central heating, and I just ended up in this really weird spot in England. Long story, but I was there and I was freezing. And Gus and he was in New York and it was really cold for him too. And we were chatting. I was like, yo, do you want to like write a song on Zoom? Because like we've been meaning to write a song for ages, and it's never going to happen. It felt like lockdown was never going to end, and I certainly wasn't ever going to be able to get to New York. We actually ended up shooting a video together for the song in New York, which was great. But yeah, we just jumped on Zoom and it was hilarious. We spent most of our time just mucking around, but then he started playing these chords, which were the chords, and he recorded them, sent them to me, and I was sort of like doing it. I had like Zoom up here and then like Logic and I was making it, and I just made the drums, and the song came about super quick. And Gus is just mad talented, just came up with the melody, and we had this idea of antifreeze because we were both freezing. Like I was honestly like, I was real cold, but yeah. So that's where the idea came from, about just being like in a frozen planet and like getting really freaky with it. And I think because I know him so well, like my hook in there is like just really strange. I sound like an alien. I think I labeled all the channels as like Alien 1, Alien 2, and like I've messed with all the like formant of the vocal, and I just feel really comfortable with Gus. So that's how that one came. Sorry, these are long answers.
No, I appreciate it.
I hope you're not in a rush. And then I guess I met BENEE through Gus, to be honest. Like the connection was made like via that link, because obviously they had that like smash TikTok anthem together, which is just crazy. And I'd had OTT, so like I'd written it, but I just hadn't got it. Needed something or someone. I had a verse there, and I thought BENEE's voice would just be perfect, and like her storytelling is also quite similar to mine in a way. It's like very honest and very sort of, I find her lyricism like really provocative, and she has that like tongue-in-cheek thing as well, which she does really well. She's honest. I don't know if you've interviewed her or whatever, but she's hilarious. She has like the best sense of humor. But that aside, so I just sent her the song and she sent me back that verse, and I was blown away. So yeah, I was super gassed to have her. It feels like it's a real, like, we're like a real like community. It's a real scene, you know, we all like do the same stuff and kind of wear the same clothes. And even though we're all from all over the world, it's great. I mean, for me, it's just such an honor to know these guys. They're super creative. And the Kevin thing, like, I can't lie, Easy Life, we're huge fans of Brockhampton and always have been. Everyone in that collective is really, really cool. But Kevin really stood out for us, obviously being the front man, but also he has his like, solo albums, and the Arizona Baby album that he released a few years back now was like a big album for us, because like it was kind of like an indie album, but with the rap vocal, which is kind of something that we felt we were doing. And so it was always a dream to like work with him, because I thought we could just do something cool. And I was in LA at the start of this year. I'd pretty much finished the album, and I'd reached out to Kevin and he was down to hang out. So he like took me for food and like really looked after us. It was super sweet actually, because I find LA to be like quite a lonely place, to be honest.
It is,
unless you have your people there. It's so spread out that it's quite hard to navigate and enjoy. So I was super grateful that he would take me under his wing and like show me a good time. So shout out Kevin for that. But then one day we went to the studio and I was playing him the album, and he was playing me his new project as well, which is just ridiculously good. But it got to Dear Miss Holloway and he was like, I love this one. Like, can I do a verse? And I already had a second verse on there, but I just deleted that shit straight away because I was gaps. I was like, wow, Kevin Abstract's going to do an Easy Life song. This is crazy. Yeah. And yeah, he did it there and then. He's a true professional. He just did it like in half an hour, and we stuck a mic up and that was it. I flew back to England the next day and finished the song, and that was it.
I love that. I know, what did I hear? I did hear that you flew him back over to the UK for, I think, Glastonbury, and he came out and maybe didn't remember all the words, but still got a good reception regardless.
Oh my God, no, that was just shocking. I feel so bad for him. It was, yeah, because Glastonbury's like huge. We played the Pyramid stage, which is like an iconic stage and something that was like bucket list shit for us. And we're like, we got to make this the best show of our lives and all that. So we're like, Kevin, fly out here, bro. We got you. And he's gassed to come to Glastonbury, of course. So pulled up and yeah, we didn't rehearse. It's our fault. I take some of the blame for this. We didn't rehearse. But also, Kevin, my man didn't rehearse.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. We all make mistakes. I forget my lyrics all the time. If I have the first lyric of the song, the very first one, then I can do the whole song. But if you forget the first one, then it's game over.
You've ruined it. I'm
pretty sure he had a case of the forgetting the first one.
Look, it's very kind of you to take on some of that responsibility with him. I think that's very chivalrous of you, very gentlemanly. Murray, lastly, we would usually ask our guests what they're currently listening to, if there's anything that's kind of on high rotation for yourself at the moment.
Oh, so I've just rediscovered the Bon Iver album, I, which I listened to. It came out in 2019 and I listened to it then, but I was listening to it on the plane on the way here in headphones. So good. It's so good. And there's a song on there called Hey Ma. And I listened to it must have maybe 8 or 9 times on repeat. I'm obsessed. And then actually I've already YouTube a live version of it, but it's only fan footage. I want to see that shit live. It's so good. So I've been listening to that a lot. Yeah.
Very, very solid choice, and a great record from Bon Iver and Justin Vernon.
He's the greatest. He's, yeah.
Another great record, though, to add to everyone's collection is the new record from Easy Life. It is out this week. It is called Maybe in Another Life. Murray, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Simon, thank you, dude. Thank you for letting me just jabber on for hours. Cheers, dude. Thanks for having me.
And that's our show. A massive thank you to Murray and Easy Life for their time. Maybe in Another Life is out today, and we've left links in the show notes if you'd like to purchase the record. We also want to give a huge shout out to Danielle at Universal Music Australia for helping out with today's interview. If you like this show, please subscribe wherever you get your pods and stay up to date when new episodes are released. We release new shows each Wednesday and Friday morning, and we now have a Patreon, which you can find within the show notes of this episode. You can follow the playlist profile on Spotify, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next week, cheers.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Are you ready for some hoops off?
Are you ready for some hoops off?
This is legitimately what you see people do right before they're going to fight. They take off their hoops, their earrings, because they don't want to get them ripped out of their ear, and they get ready for battle. Hey, I'm Liz.
And I'm Karen.
And you're listening to Hoops Off from Luminary.
On this show, we take our hoops off to bring you the spiciest, the saltiest takes on each week's games. We'll also be reading books by our favorite players, reviewing Shaq-sponsored products.
And of course, we'll be bringing the tea.
Should I prepare the hot water?
Oh, you better prepare the hot water. Please make sure to follow the show on your favorite podcast listening platform.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.